Welcome to The Better Part, a program that encompasses a diverse spectrum of topics important to our community, which we hope will both inform and entertain you. We invite you to sit back and enjoy the program.
Playing for us here today are Rena Ling, an accomplished pianist, and her musically gifted son, cellist Nathan Chan. Nathan is recognized internationally as a musical prodigy. How does one help a child who shows unusual talent at an early age to become a world-class musician? Today's show is about the story of one musical prodigy. Stay tuned as we explore the education still ongoing of cellist Nathan Chan. Today we are here with 17-year-old Nathan Chan, a classical cellist and internationally recognized musical prodigy. At the age of 3.5, Nathan made his musical debut, conducting the San Jose Chamber Orchestra. At the age of 11, he was featured in an HBO television documentary on child musical prodigies. And at the age of 12, he made his Carnegie Hall debut. Also with us is Nathan's mother, Rena Ling, an accomplished classical pianist and music teacher. Rena began playing piano at the age of 5 and performed with the Vancouver Youth Orchestra at 11. She is a graduate of the Juilliard School and plays for the Peninsula Symphony. Nathan, so we'd like to talk to you about what it has taken for you to accomplish so much musically at such a young age. Can you help us to understand that?
Sure. I think it's been a good combination of both hard work and a little bit of luck. I've been going through this journey for almost 13 years now in terms of learning the cello, and it's kind of hard to say, oh, I did this year, but it's more like I was like just going along a path where I guess things seem to be working out all right.
And you've been very lucky in that your mother, Rena, is an accomplished classical pianist.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the things your mother has taught you about music? Obviously, it's been an advantage to you growing up with a mother who is so accomplished herself.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think I've been very fortunate to have a musical mother. She's been here with me the entire time, so I think in that sense she's helped me both as a human being and also as a musical being. She loves to accompany me when I play the cello, and I don't know, I guess she's helped instill in me some great principles of work ethic and also her own experience in music. She's helped me kind of give me some tips and tricks along the way to really help me become who I am today.
And what are some of the ethics that she's inspired in you? Like, what are some of the things?
you have to be able to concentrate and to focus and not get distracted by other things. And so I guess that would be one thing. Second thing is always to be generous and respectful of others around you. In a musician's career, you're going to meet a lot of people and interact with a lot of people and a lot of things. And I guess a lot of the musical journey is other musicians helping out one another. And I think if you're nice and you're respectful and you're polite, I think that definitely helps too.
Very interesting. And Rena, as a musician, of course, we've talked about the influence you've had on Nathan. When was it that you first noticed Nathan as a child? When was it that you noticed he might have unusual gifts?
Well, oddly enough, for all the little things that you're looking out for your baby as they're developing, one of the things I noticed was that he was always very responsive and reactive to music, which was very pleasant. It's nice to hear, nice to see, but you don't really associate that as being any indication of a talent or anything. It's just like a love for, and but through it all, I could see it kind of growing from maybe just maybe drinking a bottle and music would be in the background, and he'd smile right when there was a particularly charming part of a piece of music coming, and I never really I always wondered, was that just a coincidence, or was that really, like, did you really hear that? Like, you're only just a few months old, and so I was hesitant to really jump in to say, oh, this is talent or anything. But as over the years, even like really primitive gestures in response to music all started refining and looking more and more like a conducting stroke, and until finally, a conductor friend of mine actually saw this, and other musician friends of mine would help affirm that, no, this isn't a fluke, this is really happening, and this is really something, that you should take care of and nurture.
And wasn't there a conductor after seeing that? Wasn't Nathan invited to actually conduct before an orchestra at, 3 years old or something?
Yes, that's true, and that's an interesting story because I was, in the early part, still very active as a performing pianist, and I was performing as a soloist with the Peninsula Symphony, and of course there's lots of preparation, and Nathan would be maybe 2 years old or so listening to me prepare, so he knew the piece very, very well, and he would, by this time, at 2, he had been kind of conducting in his little primitive way ever since he was really like a few months old. And by 2, it was really looking like following the music. He knew all the expressive parts. He knew the score very well. So that when it was the actual concert time, he was sitting in a couple of rows near the front, and the assistant conductor, Sarah Jobin, was sitting a couple rows behind him, and he was conducting along while the concert was going, and she noticed that, and she thought that was so marvelous that she put him actually in front of the San Jose Chamber Orchestra for a children's concert that she was giving a few months later in that season, and that was the first official conducting Nathan did.
And for you, Nathan, you were so young, it would probably be really unusual if you remembered anything about that. Do you have any memory of it at all?
I don't remember the first time when I was conducting when I was about 3 and a half, but I do remember the second time when I conducted under Sarah Jobin as well at the age of 4. It was a children's concert, and I remember when I went on the stage, I didn't know how to bow towards the audience, so I actually just went right on and just went towards the orchestra, preparing myself to conduct, and Sarah Jobin actually had to to make me turn 180 degrees and, acknowledge the audience. And it's funny, after that I only remember standing on a chair since I was so small conducting the orchestra, but after that I guess I don't remember that much, but luckily we have that on tape, and it's fun to watch that, and it's hard to imagine, whoa, was that really me? Yeah.
This is Nathan. He's 4 years old, and he's going to do the Beethoven.
So, when Nathan was a little boy, you've said that all music teachers want their children, and musicians want their children to learn music. And when he was a little boy, you had made the decision that he should learn the violin. And you took him to a violin lesson, I believe, when he was just under 5 years old. But Nathan had other ideas. Can you tell us that story?
Well, I guess my original idea was that I would teach my kids some basic piano to get them started, but all my musician friends warned me that it's very, very hard to teach your own kids, and they're right. I tried. But he had been asking ever since he was 2 that he wanted to learn the double bass or the cello. And so for those who know, the double bass is huge. It's, taller than a man, and the cello is a little bit smaller. But I thought, well, for sure you shouldn't learn the double bass, maybe the cello, but let's get you started on a violin that's pretty close, in the same string family. And I made the arrangements. I called a violin teacher and kindly asked if I could audit the class, bring my son in, and I brought him in, and within 2 minutes, he turned to me and said, "Mom, this is not a cello or a double bass. This is a violin. Why are we here? I don't want to learn the violin. I'm not going to learn the violin. Get me out of here." I was like so embarrassed because I thought, oh my gosh, it hasn't been even 2 minutes, and I didn't want this teacher to think that she was a bad teacher or anything.
So, what do you remember about that?
It was interesting. I guess I really had that dead set idea that I gotta play the cello, and I don't know if maybe I felt like my mom wasn't very clear that she was taking me to a violin class. She was just gonna, we're gonna take you to a music class, and I guess I assumed that it was a cello, but I don't remember the details, but it was interesting.
How could you have such strong feelings at such a young age? How could you know you wanted to learn the cello or the double bass? What was it about those instruments that resonated with you? How did you even know what they were?
I guess I was lucky enough in my conducting era. My parents would put on these laser discs, which were these like huge DVDs that contained a lot of orchestration works, and I would watch and follow them, and for some time those were kind of like my inspirations behind my conducting. And obviously in those laser discs there were orchestras, and they had violins, flutes, and then there are these things on the right side of the orchestra, the cellos and the double bass, that somehow it was like, maybe it was the size, it was like, but there are these important passages in famous works where it seems like the cellos and the double bass, they just have like these huge solos, and I think it was something about that sound, like that core, that lowness, that somehow I was attracted to, and I guess the violin didn't have that same attraction.
You've also said that the cello works well for your body or with your body. What do you mean by that?
I think something about the cello sound, it's got a very good range for someone like me, in that there's so much possibility. Um, you can have low, soulful moments, but yet at the same time you can have these high singing, soaring passages. And I don't think that's possible with a lot of the other instruments. And I think that range is just, it's a lot to grasp, but when you can grasp it, then there's so much possibility in what you can play.
In 2006, a documentary filmmaker for HBO went out on a national talent search to find musical prodigies for a film called Music in Me, and Nathan was selected to be in the film. So, Rena, I'm interested as a parent. Nathan, you were 10 or 11 at
10
that
or
time?
11 at that time, yes.
So that's a very big contest for a young person to be entering. What should a parent and what should a parent not do to help a child prepare for a contest of such importance?
Well, in any contest, regardless if it's music or sports or anything, all you can ask of yourself or your child is just to do your best. I mean, if you get picked, then that means you were meant to be there, and if you didn't, well, you are still going to grow in striving to do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, no harm done to give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
And just so it was fortunate it all worked out.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a great learning experience, and it opened a lot of doors for Nathan.
Nathan, you started talking a little bit about that experience. So you went to New York, you are in this film, you are going to play the Swan, and you have large cameras on tracks revolving around you, coming just within inches of you. How did you keep your composure? How tell us about that experience and what stands out in your memory about it?
I guess one of the great things about music is that it gives you the opportunity to lose yourself in your work. And for me, I guess I kind of knew that I'm not supposed to look at the camera, and a method to help me was just, concentrate on what I'm doing, make the best of what I'm doing. And I don't know, I was pretty young yet then to understand those concepts, but maybe it was the editing too. But I think it worked out.
I think a good cellist has to feel the music and feel like the true meaning. Oh, here's the swan, something's happening. It's about a swan traveling through the water. It's really graceful. And then you look closely. Oh no, I think something's really happening now. Oh no, it's okay. I think Saint-Saëns was trying to put a whole bunch of feelings together, sad and happy at the same time. In some parts, the swan is doing something not so sad, like gliding through the water. And then all of a sudden, it's starting to cry. He struggles to get on the shore. Oh no, he's starting to really die now. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those false alarms, and then it starts to hit you. Lots of people say that I express the music really well, and everybody thinks that's the best part of me.
So tell me what it is like to be able to play music with your family.
Oh, it's the greatest experience, you know. There's nothing like being around people who love the same things that you do, and being able to collaborate. So sometimes we love to play quartets, and like when we're bored, instead of gathering around the TV, we like to go into our music room and actually sight read quartets and play music with each other. And I think that joy that you get from those kinds of experiences is so special.
You were chosen by an English composer, Alex Pryor, to play his music that he composed in a show called World's Greatest Musical Prodigies. So you were 15, I believe, at the time. So can you tell us who Alex Pryor is, and also what you learned about participating in that show?
Alex Pryor is a British-Russian composer. Right now he's 18, but at the time he was maybe 16, and he was commissioned by Channel 4 in England to compose a piece for musicians that were curated around the world. So the idea or the premise of the show was to go out to US, China, all these places, and find musicians to play this work, and then he would write it for them, and then they would document the whole thing. And I was lucky enough to be a part of the US search, and I flew out to Florida for that portion, and it was interesting because it's not your typical music competition where it's judged by really the same standards, because it was actually the final say was Alex Pryor's say. So if he liked it, then he got to choose the musician.
Alexander Pryor is Britain's most talented young composer. Just 16 years old, he's already written over 40 works, including symphonies, operas, concertos, and ballets. Now he's undertaken a daunting commission: to find the world's greatest musical prodigies and write a concerto in celebration of their talent.
So Nathan, with music demanding so much of your time, how do you balance your life? What are some of your other interests?
I love filmmaking, I love badminton, I love table tennis, I love social networking, I love technology. And sometimes that can be a problem that I like all these other things, because definitely one aspect of my life is balancing between the two. And I guess I've been lucky enough that now I've still been able to do that. I know a lot of my other friends, sometimes, you know, you gotta sacrifice one for the other. And I do make some sacrifices, but not to the extent where, you know, I give up on one, and I've been pretty lucky on that. And actually in college, I'm going to be kind of continuing this trend. I'm going to be doing the Columbia Juilliard Exchange in New York City, so can be able to continue my academia, but also have strong music on the side.
So is that like a mixed major? How does that work? You go to Columbia for business classes? Or how
You live at Columbia and you get a degree at Columbia, and you have the choice of getting a degree from Juilliard in your 3rd or 4th year. So you decide a little bit later about whether you want the degree from Juilliard, but every week you have lessons with a cello teacher at Juilliard, and it's a great mix of activities.
So also when you just graduated from high school, you were invited to give a speech, I understand, at the graduation. Tell us a little bit about that speech.
It was the class speaker speech for the graduation, and I kind of was thinking about, you know, what could I talk about that would be interesting, and you know, one of the things that a lot of life is about being successful. And I think one of the most overlooked things in terms of the world of success is passion and loving what you do. There's a lot of people who toil every day doing work, but they don't love what they work. And I was trying to think about it, and I realized that, you know, probably much, if not all, of my growth was because I loved the cello, and I was passionate about the cello. If I was good at the cello but I didn't love it, I probably wouldn't have been picked for like the HBO show and things like that. So I kind of try to bring it out to a more worldly view about how passion kind of shapes your life, and if you inject passion or do what you love, then your life, I think, is a lot better.
That's very nice. Thank you for being with us today. This is Linda Carey Kunith. We hope to see you again next week on The Better Part.